Hello, Astro friends. On this first Monday of October 2023, it's Melanie with the cosmic weather starting tomorrow, October 3rd, and going until October 9th next Monday, which will be also Canadian Thanksgiving. So, what's up with the recent and upcoming shifts and moves? How are you doing after the super harvest supermoon in Aries with Chiron that we had last Friday the 29th? Yeah, it was quite an intense energy. Aries moon was on Friday the 29th, Saturday the 30th, and yesterday was a shift to Taurus, or actually on Saturday evening was already the shift to Taurus, depending where you are on planet Earth. And so now the energy is settling, integrating, lots of activities, maybe cultural activities, but also lots of stimulation and agitation and possibly activism as well. So all about Aries. And also there has been the Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada on the 30th, and the full moon was lined with that. I was present at several events, two events mainly, film screening, and also the powwow. I wrote about that on my Facebook page. And so important, right? So Chiron in Aries has a lot to do with first people or also early wounds in life. Earlier wounds of survival, battle wounds, warrior wounds, but also to activate the inner warrior and to generate the medicine of new beginnings and stepping forward, being authentic, being genuine, starting fresh. Lots of personal themes come up with that as well, especially when you're on your own or when you are on the brink of a new phase in your life. That's all very Aries. How can you trust the new, right, that you want to step into? What's with courage? What's with decisiveness? Opposite to Libra, right? Libra likes to consult with other people and likes to coordinate, strategize. Aries is fresh and present. Lots of good stories I heard on that note, and good experiences have been had over the weekend. For me, hopefully for you too. So this week, the two main themes, or I should say three, is the shift on the 4th, which is coming up on Wednesday, of Mercury being also the ruler of the day, because Wednesday is Mercury Day, is Mercredi, is miércoles, and is the day of the week dedicated to Mercury. And Mercury is making a shift finally out of Virgo, where it's been since end of July, like forever, and especially due to the retro phase, end of August until mid-September. And this time all of that was in Virgo. So we had a big dose of Mercury in Virgo. Hopefully also a lot get done, a lot of summer projects and themes that needed to be analyzed and broken down also into smaller pieces of work or smaller components that needed to be looked at and worked through in many levels. And also to learn lessons around Mercury retro, not being so wrapped up in worries, in frustration, in critical mode and self-critical mode. So hopefully we're coming to a place of things being in place and also being more at peace with it all as Mercury enters Libra. And Mercury in Libra is a lot about peace of mind and a mind of peace, and also balance, right? So balance starts in the mind. with Mercury in Libra, and also being in good um, relations with the world around you and with yourself, and also being mentally sensitive to imbalances and injustices. So all of that needs to be called out, and also might be your top of mind for you. So Mercury will be in Virgo much shorter than it has been in, Mercury will be in Libra much shorter than it's been in Virgo, only until October 21st. So this time super short, because Mercury is now at its fastest again after the retro phase, and the climax of that fast Mercury will be when it meets the Sun in the superior conjunction, right opposite of the center of the retro phase, and that will be on October 19th. From that time on, Mercury will be ahead of the Sun again. But now is actually a very auspicious time, with Mercury not being the one that is leading the show, but spirit, consciousness, the heart, represented by the Sun, is ahead, and Mercury, the messenger and coordinator, follows. Mercury in Libra, as I said, October 4th until October 21st, short phase. Then also on October 4th is the second shift of the week, which is Lilith entering Virgo. And that will be super close to Venus entering Virgo. So that will be the 8th of October, getting to that in a second. Lilith has been in Leo since early January this year. As usual, 9 months in a sign. And this was the Lilith in Leo year. And so much Leo happened also via, of course, the Sun in the summer, Mercury, Venus for a long time due to her retro phase, and also Mars. So a very passionate year, but also lots of wild energy, including literally wildfires. Not saying that the wildfires were due to Lilith in Leo. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work with linear cause and effect relationships, right? But Lilith in Leo is a reflection of that, and it's an invitation to express that energy otherwise as well, right? To balance that out, and hopefully you had a very passionate, creative year up to now, and Lilith will then move over the Sphinx point. That's the cusp from Leo to Virgo, and exact, as I said, on Wednesday. So the energy shifts, there's more groundedness, and there's also more awareness to what's going on. With Leo, it's pure expression itself, and pure love, pure passion, but with Virgo, an awareness kicks in. And in this case, it's also quite a self-sufficient energy. Lilith in Virgo is a bit like a witchy energy, actually, because it's also she, this wild woman archetype, has tools, has skills, has a good understanding of nature and how nature, plants especially, really can serve our wellness. And so that used to be labeled wise woman, used to be labeled witchy or woman, or actually witch, right? So the typically patriarchy and religions were afraid of that knowledge, making women, making people more self-sufficient. So the self-sufficient energy is becoming really strong, and also health-wise especially, right? Because Virgo has to do with health and wellness. So how can you be smart on the Virgo side, and diligent, and if needed concerned, but not as a worry state, more like breaking down the information and seeing what works for you, what doesn't, right? And what would be in alignment for you. And that might be Lilith often is experienced as outsider energy in a way, right? or rogue wild energy that is not going with the conditioning. And yet, really important to come back to our original nature, which is also Lilith, right? So it's more than just the wild and the wilderness. It's more the undomesticated, unconditioned self that wants to come again into the picture with Lilith. Then, as I said, Venus will also join Lilith in Virgo on October 8th, but of course only for 1 month. In this case, much shorter than in Leo, only for 1 month until November 8th, while Lilith will be in Virgo until next June. So June 29th, 2024, 9 months. And Lilith never goes retro. Lilith is always in forward course. And what is Lilith? There's different versions of Lilith also. Some people associate Lilith with the asteroid Lilith, others with a dark black moon Lilith, and but the archetype is the same, right? And also the ephemeris are super close. And in my astrology program that I use for the charts of new moons and full moons, but also of course personal charts, Lilith is always there, printed, calculated, printed. That's one of the pieces I like about this astrology program. It has Chiron and Lilith in it, inbuilt. And that's why lots of my clients have become much more Lilith aware also. And maybe your Lilith is also in Virgo. Lilith has a 9-year cycle. And every 9 years you have your Lilith return. So if you are a multiple of 9, 9, 18, 27, and so on, you might have now or coming up your Lilith return, or actually when you turn 9 and 18, and so you will have your Lilith return in the next month. And so something comes full circle around the inner feminine, the inner sacred feminine, inner priestess energy, and that can be also part of the masculine anima, right? It's not just reserved for women. Anyway, and it could also have an effect on how you do your work and what kind of work you do, how you serve people best. That is also very Virgo. And Lilith brings in something more instinctual and something more, in this case, very grounded, and what truly helps people to be more self-sufficient and be more in their true original nature. Then, as I said, Venus joins Lilith on October 8th and will be in Virgo only until November 8th also. And so Venus is a magnet, right? So attracting Virgo themes literally could attract Virgo people or could make Virgo people more attractive. Sometimes it works literally like that. And also attracting work, attracting meaningful work that truly serves and might make new connections, attracting opportunities to improve your health and your lifestyle, and something that could be a really good practice. Maybe it has to do with physical activity and being more regulated, right? So the Leo side was passionate, but not necessarily very organized or grounded, right, in all of this. So more awareness comes in, and maybe also more humility with Virgo, right? It doesn't have to be such a big deal that has this show effect, right? That you love and turn to. It can be health, wellness can make you actually quite content and happy, and you're drawn to that. So Venus is actually per se as an archetype not so happy in Virgo. Venus rules Libra, not there yet, rules Taurus, is exalted in Pisces, and it's called in fall in Virgo. That's a bit of a value judgment, but it also has some truth to it. So why is Venus in Virgo kind of problematic? So just to point out these pitfalls with Venus in Virgo. So Venus, we're drawn to work, and we're drawn not necessarily to partnership, right? So we actually want to do our own thing, and we want to help, we want to serve. We have so much to do. We might be also drawn to lots of activities that are on the agenda and on our to-do list. And that can be actually quite a nervous energy. And Venus in Virgo can even turn into a perfectionist or bring out even issues of inadequacy, where I feel like, okay, so much more I need to do or need to do about myself, about my looks, about my attractiveness with Venus, right? To be more acceptable and be more, feel good about myself, or also be more attractive. So not to be too obsessed with that, especially if your Pluto is in Virgo, which is the case for people born in late 50s and 1960s. And if your Uranus is in Virgo, that's also in the 1960s, then Venus will actually can help you to break through certain patterns that could have prevented you from good health or having your house in order and so on, right? And be more spontaneous, be more experimental about things. Don't be too obsessed with how things have to look and have to feel even, right? So see what could work and what could give you actually more freedom. Venus Uranus as a combination is actually a really nice combination to experiment with new expressions of showing your love. And yeah, so I'm just a few pointers about so-called Virgo generations, when slow-moving planets have been in Virgo in the last century for those of us born in those years and decades. And as I said, that's only the case for Pluto in the 1960s, only the case for Uranus in also 1960s, and Neptune was in Virgo already in 1930s. So not too many people alive anymore with that signature. Then Saturn has been in Virgo several times in the meantime. I will write more about it and also about the Lilith return and so on in a special article for Lilith in Virgo. And if you're interested, we can do a specific targeted Lilith in Virgo session. Then the last piece I'd like to talk about planetary-wise, before we get to the moon, is Mars, right? So Mars is now at the end of Libra, and this will be the height of the Mars in Libra transits are coming up on October 6th, that's Friday, and October 8th. What's going on with Mars? So Mars, end of Libra, will on October 6th be conjunct the South Node and will be also South Node now in Libra. Of course, opposite the North Node in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. And at the same time, also opposite Aries, E-R-I-S, which is the asteroid goddess of discord. So Aries has been in Aries since the 1920s, and that's going on until the 2030s, I believe. So for a super long time in Aries, and now activated by the South Node. That was also brought out already with the Aries Libra supermoon. Here is Aries, right? So Aries looks like a Pisces sign a little bit, but has a dash in the center, right? So it's actually about, rather than connection, like that's the opposite here, right? It's a, okay, I have to, it is a discord, right? So Aries is the one that splits and is also in society a lot about polarization and division, right? So yeah, there's a lot of the mythological theme of Aries who was not invited to a party and felt excluded and then took revenge So stuff like that. And that can come up in so many ways. So Mars will oppose Aries, as Mars will be end of Libra, and will be also in square on the 8th of October with Pluto. And Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, so Pluto is the planetary archetype that represents higher power rather than personal power and personal assertion with Mars, right? So it's also about the soul, right? The soul wants something different than the ego. So Pluto, Mars. And then lastly, in that context, Mars square Pluto. Pluto is also stationary. Pluto is about to go, Pluto is currently retro, but about to go direct on October 10th. So it's even a very Pluto emphasized first half of October. And Mars comes in and squares Pluto. So there's a lot going on in terms of conflict that can play out in a personal, in relational dynamics, because Mars in Libra. And it's also about power issues in that regard, but also about human rights and justice. And so Mars in Libra likes to fight for fairness, justice, right relationships. And with Pluto, things can have really old and historic background and have to do with power structures as well. So a lot is up for that in that regard for the next weekend, as we must not, with Mars, with the South Node, lose too much energy by giving so much into relationships which are incompatible, really, not a good match, where our energy gets lost. That's typically also South Node dynamics. So we have indicators, right? We have like an inner barometer when we lose energy after having hung out with certain people or in certain environments. Is it feeding us? That would be the North Node. North is also known as the dragon's mouth. So here's the firefighters coming through down below in the street. And very Aries, right? Emergency. Sometimes you need to take yourself out of those situations, right? That is also Aries, right? So Aries is like, no, I'm not having it. I'm out of that. I need to do my own thing. But not always easy. And with the North Node, it takes some effort. And you don't want to come from a place of the Aries archetype, which is the out of discord, out of leaving from an argument and going into still carrying over, right? That energy of polarity and us and them, or you and them, and so on, right? Don't want to be in that place. Pluto and Capricorn likes to be finish well, complete in a good way for the soul, right? So a lot of that Mars, Aries, Pluto stuff coming up next weekend. And now, yes, also on Monday, one more planetary transit energy. When Venus is freshly in Virgo, she will go immediately into opposition with Saturn. That will be on Monday the 9th. Saturn retro in very early Pisces. So whenever a planet enters a new sign, an aspect now with Saturn forms, because Saturn is the very beginning, right, of that sign. And for Venus, it's the opposition. And that is, of course, then also true for Lilith, right? So Lilith will also oppose Saturn, probably a little bit later. Lilith moves much slower than Venus. So I haven't exactly looked that up, but that will be the following week. Lilith opposing Saturn. Venus starts it. And so it's again, an opposition is a relational aspect, and especially as we're in the season of Libra, it's about balancing, right, these two sides. Saturn in Pisces says we really need to set boundaries to where there's not a good energy, not a good vibe, and something toxic even, and also to dedicate more time and energy to our spiritual evolution and what really has priority for us. And so Venus in Virgo likes to help and likes to do things for other people. And Saturn also says maybe your most important relationship is with God, with the divine, with loving energy, and ascending that, offering that is just as important as what you concretely do, right? So you don't, often people have been in a past conditioned to feel more loving, feel more loved when they help others. And that is also very much a Venus in Virgo theme. And all you need to do is actually, connect with the universe and send beautiful energy, unconditional love energy that you might have an easier time sending to others and situations that you are actually critical about from the Virgo perspective. Then let's go to the phase where we're in now in Libra. We're in the second decade in the central part of Libra. Not quite yet. It starts tomorrow on the 3rd and goes until October 12th. That's pretty much every year. And so that's 10 to 20 degrees of Libra. And the central part of each sign in the zodiac in the decade system have the undertone of the fixed sign in that element. What does that mean? So the fixed sign in the air element that Libra is now is Aquarius. So the central part of Libra has an Aquarius undertone. So we're moving into this Aquarian theme here. So it's not just about personal relationships and fairness, justice in that regard, but it's also about the social dimension and societal dimension. And it's also about relationships with friends, with groups, and with like-minded people. That's the backdrop of this 10-day period. Then moon-wise, what's going on with the moon? Yes, we had the supermoon. The moon is now waning in Taurus as I'm speaking, but soon going into Gemini. This evening, Monday, October 2nd at 10:03 p.m. Pacific. My times are by default Pacific Daylight Savings Time at this point and Standard Time in winter. So at 10:03 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, the moon enters Gemini. And cusp from Taurus to Gemini, I call that the voice point. So finding our voice. It would be also a good time to communicate with people, write. It's perfect time for writing. Moon in Gemini and Sun in Libra. If you have writing projects going on, Tuesday, Wednesday are fabulous for that. And maybe also meeting with some Moon in Gemini people, which I will do on Wednesday with a friend. And then the moon goes into Cancer on Thursday, the 5th at 5:32 a.m. in the morning. So that cusp from Gemini to Cancer, I call that the nesting point. So it's like also maybe bringing all the pieces that you have, piece of information or physical pieces that you have collected, bring those back home, back into yourself. How do you feel about all this? Again, Moon in Gemini can be mentally very stimulating. And on that note, I also want to say, before we go to Cancer Moon, Leo Moon, that as Venus goes into Virgo and Mercury into Libra, the two during that phase, especially as long as Mercury is in Libra until October 21st, they are, Venus and Mercury, in mutual reception. They are in each other's rules, in each other's ruled signs, since Venus rules Libra and Mercury rules Virgo. So there's quite a Venus-Mercury theme there for this for the 2 weeks, kind of October 4th to 21st, 2.5 weeks. And so it's a great time for no planet retro, no, not Mercury retro, others are. But a really good time if you need to do shopping, for example, right? So that is very conducive. Also, um, connecting with people where you share things that you both enjoy and you help each other. And it's a very practical but also design, beauty, or oriented phase. Then, moon wise, again, the moon will be in Cancer from the morning of October 5th on, all day October 5th, 6th, and 7 until the afternoon, until 4:24 p.m. And that will be then, of course, also the half moon, because the moon will square the sun, and you see the moon as a waning half moon. And that will be October 6th. So the theme of the Cancer versus Libra is family and relationships. So how does that go together? Are there any conflicts? Are there conflicts also that can be, and it's before Thanksgiving, interestingly, conflicts that can be very productive, where you can actually bring, because there's a push, there's a drive and a strong activity in that square, where you can maybe reconcile family and relationships, or art, right, Libra wise, and on the other hand, more homey and again, emotional themes. So culture versus, it's like nurture, Taurus versus nature. So no, nature would be the Cancerian side, more something instinctual, and nurture would be more like the cultural, how you're being culturally influenced, right? So doing something about culture, maybe also literally bringing people to your home, inviting friends, inviting family, and doing something that helps with your relationships with them would be a good expression. Then the moon goes into Leo from Saturday afternoon on, all day Sunday, and also all day Monday. So that's the end of the lunar phase of this week. Moon in Leo and Sun in Libra, both in combination, really a lot about celebration and culture, creativity, arts, and joy, right? Joy and good relationships. Um, yeah, so that's, hopefully we also get sunnier weather again. Now it's raining, and yeah, and you can really enjoy all that. I'm signing off now and pointing you to my astrology page on Facebook, where you can see daily posts, and also to the blog on WordPress, which you can follow if you like, and then you get always notifications. I also put a link to the blog down below in the description with articles, not exactly all the links, you can find the articles directly on the blog, but just the articles that are up now and the ones that are coming up, to read up more about all this and to share it if you like. Then lastly, yes, a beginner's class is starting on October 17th on request. So there's been a few people wanted to do an astrology journey from the beginning again, starting from scratch, all in Aries moon spirit, and we start on October 17th in the morning. And you can come in person, you're most welcome, or join us online. So more about that also on my Facebook page. And also, of course, if you are on the Astro News newsletter, you receive these updates via email and you'd never miss anything. So I recommend that as well. Send me your email address and I add you to the newsletter. So I'm signing off here, and it's already getting a little darker. I can't believe it. It's close to 5 o'clock. So wishing you well and a rain of blessings from Victoria for this week. Bye.